You're sitting across from a hiring manager. They've just asked the question every job seeker dreads. What are your salary expectations? Your throat tightens. Here's what they don't want you to know. For decades, salary negotiation was a game rigged against you. Employers knew what everyone made. They knew the budget. You were guessing, but that's changed, and most people haven't caught on yet. Today, I'm giving you the exact playbook to use new pay transparency laws as negotiation leverage. The companies have to show their cards now. Let's talk about how to play yours. Here's a number that should make you angry. People who negotiate their salary get an average of 18.8% more than those who accept a first offer. 18.8%. On a $100,000 salary, that's nearly 19 grand you're leaving on the table every single year. And yet, over half of professionals never negotiate at all. Why don't people negotiate? Fear, uncertainty, not knowing what they're actually worth. But what if you could see exactly what companies are paying before you even apply? You can, right now. In 16 states plus DC, employers are legally required to disclose salary ranges and job postings. And this information is your new superpower. Let's rewind. For most of American history, talking about salary was taboo. Your employer knew what the market paid. They knew their internal pay bands. You knew nothing. This information asymmetry gave employers massive leverage. They could lowball you and you'd never know. They could pay two people doing the same job wildly different salaries, and neither would find out. Then Colorado changed everything. In 2023, they became the first state to require salary ranges and job postings, not optional, required by law. Then came New York City, California, Washington State. Illinois, Minnesota, Vermont joined in 2025. The dominoes started falling fast. As of 2026, 16 states and Washington, D.C. have enacted statewide wage transparency laws. That covers over 40% of the American workforce. Here's the kicker. If a role can be performed remotely from a pay transparency state, those disclosure requirements apply regardless of where the company is headquartered. Think about what that means. A tech company in Texas posting a remote role? If someone in California can apply, California's rules apply. The company has to post the range. Companies can't hide anymore, and some of them learned this the hard way. In California, fines for non-compliance start at $100 per violation and climb to $10,000 for repeat offenders. Massachusetts and New Jersey moved from policy to active enforcement in 2026. Audits are happening. Penalties are being issued. This isn't theoretical anymore. So what does this mean for you? It means the information that was hidden for decades is now sitting in plain sight, on job boards, on company websites, waiting for you to use it. Over 70% of hiring managers expect candidates to negotiate salary. They're waiting for it, yet only about half of professionals actually do. The managers are expecting you to negotiate. They built room into the offer for exactly this. When you don't ask, that money doesn't go to you. It goes back to the budget. Here's your first move. Before any interview, screenshot the job posting's salary range. Companies sometimes edit these after posting. You want proof of exactly what they advertised. Create a folder. Save every posting. Date them. When you're in negotiation and they try to lowball you, you can pull up their own numbers. That's powerful. When they ask your salary expectations, here's your move. Cite their own posted range. Say it directly. I saw the role is posted at 120 to 145. Based on my experience, I'm targeting the upper end. Notice what just happened there. You didn't throw out a random number. You anchored to their published data. You positioned yourself at the top, but within their stated range. They can't say it's unreasonable. Here's the psychology behind this. A Princeton study showed that initial numerical anchors shift final negotiated outcomes by 15 to 25%, even when both parties know the anchor is arbitrary. When you say 140, the entire conversation orbits that number. Every counter, every compromise pulls toward it like gravity. When you say, what's the range? You just handed them the anchor. And their anchor is always lower than yours. That's not paranoia. That's just budget management. HR has a range, and they're trained to start at the bottom of it. Most professionals in 2026 secure 5 to 15% increases when switching jobs. But here's where it gets interesting. When you negotiate strategically, that number jumps to 20 to 25%. 20 to 25% on a $100,000 base. That's the difference between accepting 105 and walking out with 125. Same job, same company, different conversation. Now here's a move most people never think about. If you're already employed, search your own company's job postings and pay transparency states. Look for roles similar to yours. You might discover something uncomfortable. They're offering new hires more than they're paying you. And if that's the case, you now have grounds for an equity adjustment conversation. This is becoming a real issue for employers. As one industry report put it, as organizations publish ranges externally, employees will question their own pay. The questioning has begun. Companies built their compensation structures in the dark. Now the lights are on, and a lot of those structures don't look so good under scrutiny. If you discover you're being underpaid compared to new hires, here's the script. Set up a meeting with your manager. Come with data. Be specific, not emotional. Say this: I noticed the posted range for similar roles is X to Y. I'd like to understand how my compensation compares and discuss an adjustment. Simple, direct. No threats. You're not accusing anyone. You're not threatening to leave. You're asking a reasonable question based on public information that's very hard to dismiss. Let's talk about building your case. Don't rely on a single data point. Use Glassdoor. Use levels.fi. Cross-reference with posted ranges from multiple companies in your field. The more data points you have, the stronger your position. You're not saying, I deserve more. You're saying the market says this role pays X and here's the evidence. Now, sometimes the employer says their range is firm. The number is the number. Budget's locked. Here's what most people miss. Salary isn't the only thing on the table. You might consider negotiating signing bonus, equity, job title, or remote flexibility. These often have more budget flexibility than base salary. Different buckets, different approvals. A $10,000 signing bonus isn't ongoing salary, but it's $10,000 you didn't have before. Equity in a growing company could be worth multiples of your ask. Title matters too. A senior title versus a mid-level title. Same job, same day-to-day, but that title follows you. It's leverage for your next negotiation at your next company. Remote flexibility is another big one. If they won't budge on salary, maybe they'll agree to fully remote work. Calculate what you save on commuting, parking, dry cleaning. That's real money. Let me give you a real example. Priya, not her real name, had been interviewing for a product manager role at a mid-sized tech company. The job posting in California listed 120 to 145. When they asked her salary expectations, she didn't say what's the budget. She didn't lowball herself. She said, I saw the role as posted at 120 to 145. Given my experience launching 3 products, I'm targeting 145. They countered at 138. She didn't panic. She said she'd consider it, then came back with a request for a $15,000 signing bonus to bridge the gap. They came back with $10,000. She accepted. Final package: 138 base plus $10,000 signing bonus. If she'd asked, what's your range? The conversation would have started at 120. That's the difference between using transparency laws strategically versus not using them at all. Same candidate, same skills, different outcome, by over $28,000 in year 1. One more thing before you go into your next negotiation. Rehearse. Out loud, with another person if possible. The first time you say your number shouldn't be in the room with the hiring manager. Practice saying the number without your voice going up at the end. I'm targeting 145 period, not question mark. Confidence reads differently than uncertainty, even in how you speak. Your voice is a negotiation tool. A downward inflection signals certainty. An upward inflection signals you're asking permission. Know the difference. Practice until the confident version is automatic. Some people worry negotiating will make them look greedy or cost them the offer. Here's the reality: rescinded offers due to negotiation are extremely rare. We're talking less than 1% of cases. Companies expect negotiation. They've built it into the process. The hiring manager isn't going to pull an offer because you asked for more, especially when you're backing your ask with their own published data. What does get offers rescinded? Being unprofessional, being dishonest, negotiating in bad faith, asking reasonable questions about compensation based on market data. That's just smart. And if you found these strategies helpful, consider subscribing. We put out new career tactics every week, the unwritten rules that actually move the needle on your salary and growth. Let's zoom out. What's happening right now is a fundamental shift in negotiation power. For decades, employers held all the cards. Now, in an expanding number of states, they have to show their hand. More states are passing these laws every year. Federal legislation is being discussed. The trend is clear. Pay secrecy is becoming a relic of a different era. The companies that get ahead of this, that embrace pay equity proactively, will attract better talent. The ones that resist, they'll keep losing their best people to competitors who play by the new rules. So, here's what to do this week. First, search job postings in your field from transparency states. Screenshot the salary ranges. Start building your market data file. Second, if you're job searching, use posted ranges as your anchor in every negotiation. Don't ask what they pay. Tell them what you're worth based on what they've published. Third, if you're employed, search your own company's postings. See what they're paying new hires. If there's a gap between that and your salary, you now have data for a conversation. Remember, the information that used to be hidden is now public. The leverage that was once only theirs is now yours too. The only question is whether you'll use it. That's your cheat code for the week. Screenshot those ranges, anchor high, negotiate like you know what you're worth. Because now you actually do. See you next time.